Hi, AP Lang. All right, so I made a video because as I was looking through your all's essays, I was noticing some consistent issues. Um, and honestly, with virtual learning, I'm not teaching classes all day. I'm grading a lot of papers and I'm interacting with students on Remind, but I have the time to give you all ample feedback and I have the time to dive into this particular synthesis essay and what's going well and what you all are struggling with. So I just wanted to do that in a really thorough way, and I hoped that maybe making this video would help with that. I'm not going to read through everything in this document. I will publish the document with the video and you can look through it. But overall, kudos to you all. I'm very impressed with the work that you've done, especially working from home, especially with everything that's going on. I know some of you are probably watching younger siblings and it's kind of a stressful and weird and lonely time. Very impressed with your work on this prompt, especially because the prompt is complex and requires some pretty thorough background knowledge to fully understand. Some tips, when you read through sources, look for those little pieces of evidence. We'll come back to this later, but the little pieces of evidence that the writers use to support their arguments, because you can use those to support the argument that you're making in your essay as well. So small pieces of evidence to help you make your point. Okay, so in the prompt, the writers, the AP test maker people, are asking you to consider if eminent domain is productive and beneficial. So make sure that your thesis statement, even if it's making a clear argument, and it can earn you that one out of one for row A, it's more likely to earn you more points for row B and set you up to have a strong commentary if you're directly answering that question. So is eminent domain productive and beneficial? You want to make sure that your thesis is tied to that. If you anchor your topic sentences in the language of your thesis, so if your topic sentences repeat a key word or phrase from your thesis, you can make sure that your topic sentences support your thesis, and then you can make sure your commentary supports your topic sentences, and it will just really move you more towards earning 4 out of 4 for row B and having a fully supported line of reasoning. Real quick, if you look at the rubric, that is the difference between 4 points and 3 points. That 4 points in a 4-point essay, the writer consistently explains how the evidence supports a line of reasoning. For 3, the writer only explains how some of the evidence supports. So you want to make sure that your topic sentences are linked and that your commentary is linked back to your topic sentences. Okay, overall, we are peer and self-scoring a little too high on commentary when I looked at your all's peer review and self-evaluation, which is fine. This is early in our work with synthesis essays. We have a lot of time and room to grow, but I just kind of want to help you all with that and help you see what exactly commentary has to do. So whatever you say is true about eminent domain in your thesis has to be proven in your commentary. You all are doing an excellent job of finding evidence that supports what you're saying in your thesis, but the step that you're not taking is explaining exactly how that evidence supports your thesis. One more note before I move down further: avoid always statements like eminent domain always hurts marginalized people or eminent domain always benefits American citizens. Always statements are kind of the enemy of complexity. Complexity lives in the sometimes, in certain circumstances, gray area, and that's really what the AP test creators are asking you to look for. Here is a key for the AP readers' scores of the sample essays if you wanted to look at that and see if your evaluations were correct. Okay, so this is the explanation that the AP readers gave for why sample I, this one that you all read, why did sample I earn a 4 out of 4 for that commentary? And I just want to draw your attention to a couple things. Number one, this is their thesis statement. You've got two parts of the thesis. First, they present their counter argument, then they present their argument. A lot of you all did this as well. So you presented although or while, you give the counter argument, and then you make your claim. That is what this writer did. And their two topic sentences here and here directly connect back to their thesis statement. Notice that in the explanation of why this essay earned a 4 out of 4, the AP Reader commentator people said they provide well-developed commentary that effectively explains the relationship between the evidence and the thesis. So that is the job of the commentary. That's really what you need to do in your body paragraphs. Okay, I want to talk you all through sample H real quick. You read sample H in your packet and you evaluated it. This essay has a strong thesis. It earns the sophistication point, but it has weak commentary. And I say weak, it earns 3 points out of 4. But if we have time and if we're able to, let's push for that 4 out of 4. And you all are revising these essays, so I'd really like for you to use this opportunity to make the commentary as good as it possibly can be. Let's aim for perfection when we have time. All right, so the thesis statement that this writer sets up has a clear counterclaim claim structure. Eminent domain has been used as an effective tool to promote beneficial government interests. Notice that they use the word beneficial, which is directly from the prompt, so that's good, that's showing up. Then we have that however, and this is the claim that our writer is making. While projects requiring the use of eminent domain usually aim to help the public, the practice becomes unjustified when minorities are victimized, a reasonable compensation is not attained, and the government works with private companies in the economic philosophy of corporatism. Okay, so the argument that this writer is making is that the practice becomes unjustified in these situations, A, B, and C. So their body paragraphs are going to line up with that. We're talking about situation A, minorities are victimized. Situation B, reasonable compensation is not attained. And C, government works with private companies in the economic philosophy of corporatism, although it looks like they're kind of blending reasons B and C together in body paragraph 2, which is paragraph 3 here. Okay, so let's look at why this essay does not get 4 out of 4. So they introduce the idea that groups of lower income and diverse backgrounds are unequally affected. They provide some great text evidence. They explain that text evidence, but, and I've put this in the comment over here, they do not connect it back to the claim that their thesis makes that eminent domain becomes unjustified in this circumstance. So what they've done is they have said source C shows us a bad side of eminent domain, but they don't connect it back to that language of their thesis that it becomes unjustified. So they really need another sentence or two explaining how this example, how this evidence shows a situation when eminent domain is not justified. Clearly, in this case, eminent domain is unjustified because would be a great way to start that commentary. Then in paragraph 3, they do the same thing. We have a close look at sources B and C, really strong explanation of how sources B and C demonstrate negative qualities of eminent domain. They've explained this whole situation with Pfizer and the tax breaks and how even after all of that, we wind up with an empty, open 90-acre field. So clearly, this writer is showing that sources B and C illustrate negative impacts of eminent domain, but the commentary does not link this explanation back to the writer's argument. that eminent domain is unjustified in certain situations. So I'm hoping that it's clear through this video and this document that not only do you have to find text evidence in the sources and then use that text evidence to show something about eminent domain and explain what the text evidence shows, but you have to link the text evidence back to the point that you are making, specifically the language of your thesis and the point that you're arguing. One thing this essay does really well, it earns the sophistication point down here in the conclusion, and I want to explain the 2 reasons why they earn the sophistication point. They effectively concede that eminent domain is not always harmful. So ambitions involving eminent domain are not always harmful. Okay, they've made the point, but then they give evidence to support their concession. In fact, when properly used, the government acquisition of land provides the public with a multitude of desirable provisions, including transportation, water systems, public buildings, defense aid, historical preservation sites, and natural parks. So the concession is really good. It's a thorough concession. And then they do another thing that helps them really earn that sophistication point. They explain the nuance and complexity of the situation. So the process of eminent domain is not unethical in and of itself, but the way that it's applied can be unethical. The fact that they're kind of like diving into that and exploring when it is ethical and when it's used unethically really adds to the sophistication there in the conclusion. Okay, so takeaways from the video. I hope that this has been helpful. Overall, what I would like you all to do is focus on looking at your own essay, and noticing in your thesis, are you talking about if eminent domain is productive and beneficial or not? Like, does that language show up in your thesis? Could it? Might that make your thesis stronger or your overall argument stronger? And then whatever you say about eminent domain in your thesis, you have evidence to support it, but your commentary has to explain exactly how that evidence supports your thesis. Good luck, and I will keep adding feedback to your all's essays. I hope this video helps. Bye.